Happy New Year. So I am feeling the need to discuss the energies of 2018 in a more concentrated way, and concentrated in the sense of speaking solely to the numerological qualities of the year. Now, I want to be clear, I don't consider myself a numerologist. It's something that I'm very interested in and something I pay attention to. I'm very much a numbers person. And I understand from my own perspective the vibrational energies of numbers. And I particularly love the fact that there is such a wonderful representation of those energies via tarot. So the deck that I've begun working with today, January 1st, is Shadowscapes Tarot. So let me show you the box. It's beautiful, and you'll see these up close. I will bring them up closer to the phone so that you can really get an idea of their artwork. Where's he going with that? Anywhere else? No, I guess not. So 2018, numerologically speaking, is an 11 year. So we know that because we add 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 8. We come to 11. And typically speaking, I would stop there because 11 is a master number, and the way that I was taught numerology is that the 11 is left alone. It and the number 22 are the only two numbers that aren't resolved to a single digit number. Again, that's the way that I was taught. Okay? However, the way the energies are feeling for this year, it feels that we do actually need to take that 11, which is the Justice card in Tarot, and then resolve it to the number 2, which is the High Priestess card in Tarot. And I believe it's because the 11 is a number of mastery. So think about the number 11. Think about how many times you might see 1111, whether it's on a clock or wherever. And so there's our mastery. There's our spiritual mastery. And more. We'll get into the more in a moment. The High Priestess is also an energy of mastery. The High Priestess is also about spiritual mastery. So it just feels like it's important to bring up both of these cards. Their significance for this year is, as I'm hearing, astronomical. Let me bring the Justice card closer, and I'll actually scroll up so you can really get a more up-close look at the artwork. A wonderful thing about these cards is that the woman who created them, Stephanie Pui-Mun Law, I hope I haven't massacred her name, has also available on her website prints, large-sized prints, and also smaller sized, like letter paper sized, 8.5 by 11. And I actually purchased the Wheel of Fortune at some point last year because it felt like I needed to. And that's something else I'll maybe discuss in a blog post, how that's showing up at this point in time. But anyway, this is the High Priestess. Just really want to give you an opportunity to drool. So that's the High Priestess. So something that came up this morning around the Justice card, the 11 card, and showed up a little bit in the reading that I did for January, the energy reading, is the subject of karma. And the phrase karmic retribution came up again. And, you know, at first glance, we could hear and feel karmic retribution and, you know, shaking our boots. Because what does that mean? Does that mean that any infraction that we have created or acted upon is going to be a smack in the face to us this year? Maybe for some people who haven't done any work toward balancing that. This will wish for you to understand that this is not a way of putting punishment upon people. This is a balancing action. This also is a way of opening the energies for the galactic, cosmic representation that will wish to create more universal opening and understanding for all people. So that was my guides speaking, and they're not done yet. We notice that there is no need for concern. There is no need for worry or fear that there will be some form of karmic retribution in the way of enacting horrible or undesirable means upon any one person. It will be that those who are in extreme lack of balance will be called into consequence that will create open, further balance. Yeah. So for those that, I heard that phrase, smack in the face, which is something that I wouldn't normally bring up. However, I'm hearing it from another energy, which is likely an ancestral energy, perhaps, or perhaps also an elemental energy. Okay, well, so an elemental energy, perhaps it's both. I think the feeling around that is that for some people, or some groups, it could be that it feels like they're getting a smack in the face from this quote-unquote karmic retribution, which is truly a realignment, a rebalancing, a regeneration, that their experience may not be pleasant. However, it's like taking medicine. Medicine may not taste great, and yet it helps. And that's the point here. That's the point of justice. That's the point of karmic teaching, karmic rebalancing. It's meant to help what has before now hurt. Okay? One thing I want to point out here that's really beautiful about this image, I'm going to bring it closer again and highlight the top half so you can really see the butterflies. So in addition to the usual suspects, so to speak, with justice, where we see the scales, and there's no sword. There is a feather, however, which I really appreciate, because I see the feather, and I think the air sign of Libra, of course, because justice is a Libra card, an air card. However, the pen is mightier than the sword. That's what I'm picking up from that feather. The pen is mightier than the sword. And those butterflies speak to transformation, So there's just some really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy around justice. And it creates transformation, which heaven knows we need on this planet. Okay? The High Priestess. So, oh, is that she holding a pomegranate? It looks like it. That looks distinctly like a pomegranate in her hand. And what's coming up here is Adam and Eve. You know, with Adam and Eve, the story that's told in the Bible talks about the tree of knowledge, which is an apple tree, right? The thing is, honestly, the location of where Garden of Eden would have been probably would have been a pomegranate tree rather than an apple tree. And so if the pomegranate symbolizes knowledge, and this woman is very clearly not standing on any surface, she is rising above here, and she has the company of an owl. Is it Hedwig? I don't know. There you go. Let's find out more about the High Priestess for us. With the High Priestess, there is a spiritual consciousness. There is a spiritual directive. The directive is to be in your spiritual heaven, your spiritual haven, your spiritual oneness. Concentrating upon your spiritual transformation, evolution, uprising, being present with your soul. There is need to understand, above all, there is only the soul. The body is temporary, the soul is always. If this can be brought into the understanding that there is energy which wishes to be in fullness, as there is walking on the earth plane, there can be transcendence in ways unseen for millennia. Okay. Okay. I can see that. I'm experiencing some of that. And I know there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of others experiencing similar. All of us in our own way, because we're all here with different missions. We're all here with different soul purposes, soul contracts. And we're all also subject to the, as I'm hearing, vagaries of the human ego, which definitely changes our perspective, our direction. And we are asking that there will be a rising above the ego's assertion to control and surrender fully into the embrace of the energy which is the soul. You know, the fact that this is being offered up, and it's something that is very familiar to me, and it seems to come up a lot in readings that I do, daily card readings on Instagram. This wouldn't be brought to us if it wasn't possible. Our guides know enough to know enough, and they wouldn't ask us to do something if we couldn't. So something to consider, not to brush it away and think, yeah, in some other reality we could do that. Well, guess what? This is that reality. And the energy this year supports this even more than it has in previous years, thus it being a year of mastery, thus it being a year of justice and deep and actionable spirituality. All right, wow. So is there anything else that needs to be said here today? No. So that felt really important to talk about, and I hope it's of benefit. And if you have any questions, please use the comments. If you're uncomfortable with that, know that I will be posting this as well on my blog this week. Today's January 1st. So possibly it'll be posted tomorrow, January 2nd. And if that's the case, you can always use comments there, which might feel, I don't know, the word safer comes up. It feels less public there, which is interesting. And yet true. I would say that's true. Okay? So there you have it. And I'll encourage you to discover what your card for the year is, what your personal year number is, and then figure out what tarot card aligns with that. So to discover that, you take your birth month, your birthday, and then the year 2018 and add them all together. So for instance, if your birthday was today, January 1st, you would add 1 plus 1, so January plus the day, which is the 1, and that's 2, and then add 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 8. So we have 1 and 1 is 2, and then 2 is 4, forget the 0, 1 is 5, and then you add the 8, and that's the number 13. We're going to do two things here. It feels like it'll be helpful. First of all, let's take the 13 and we do 1 plus 3 equals 4. 4 is your personal year number. So find out what the corresponding tarot card is. You'll be looking only at the major arcana. And so the number 4 from the major arcana. And if you want to explore another variation of that, go back to the 13 and look at the number 13 in the major arcana and notice what energy exists there. And see how those might show up in your day-to-day, in your week-to-week, month-to-month, season to season, as we walk through this truly spectacular year we have had. Okay? Any questions? Feel free to ask. Happy New Year. Lots of love.